work in your industry. Okay, so I know you're all thinking it, people always ask me about it, so I'll tell you why. It was obviously money and the chance to travel internationally, so is the real answer. But the interesting thing that you learn when you make that transition is when you work for a beer company, you do get free beer. It's true. You do get given beer. Yeah? You know, every quarter you've got to go to a company store and you've got to take that beer. Yeah? So you get invited to a lot of parties, right? Because you might turn up some beer and you might turn up some t-shirts. And people want to talk to you about the latest ad on TV because you're the biggest brands and you're the biggest spenders and you have the funniest, most engaging TV ads. Life is fabulous, your social circle is huge. Then you go to work for an oil company. And suddenly the few parties you do get invited to, all people want to do is complain about the price of gasoline. So it's a bit of a transition, but hopefully I'm fairly uniquely placed in terms of being able to talk about this subject today and give this presentation, because I've spent all my career working in and around research and insights and turning those into value propositions, whether it's for customer engagement or building a brand position or taking something out to market. You know, and now I've actually finally got a job where I'm responsible for sort of making and creating the insights. So it's quite a different sort of perspective, quite a different sort of point of view, and a lot of skill sets and a lot of things that I've been learning. And so I just wanted to share just some of the elements of that journey that we've been going through at Result that I'm talked about. So the presentation is really going to break down into three areas. I'll talk a little bit about just some of the background and where we were and sort of why we're doing this. I'll then talk about how we've really got this up and running in the early days. I'm 18 months into this, okay, in reality. About 18 months. And 18 months in a lot of our businesses is the blink of an eye. Yeah, you know, we're working slowly with industry as well as selling cycles. It's sometimes tough to turn things around. So I'll talk a little bit about the early days and some of the things that we've learned and some of the things that we did to enable us to get this off the ground. Hopefully you'll find some interesting things in there, maybe some things you can think about and apply when you go back home. Of course, everybody's different, so your mileage may vary, as they say. And then I'll close out just by talking about how we're continuing to drive things and really taking things to the next level and into the future. So, just in case you don't know about Result, I know there's several people in here who know us very well, some of the customers, sometimes we supply each other, sometimes we compete in here, but basically we're an old company. 1928, headquartered in Cleveland, well in Wycliffe, technically, but nobody knows where that is, but it should have been Northeast Ohio, so we're headquartered in Cleveland. Legacy business in automotive and industrial lubrication additives, basically. But over the course of the last 20 or 30 years, through acquisition, through growing the business, now really have businesses in engineered materials, so a lot of stuff that goes into CPVC, sort of piping, fabrication materials, as well as clothing and apparel. And also a growing personal home and healthcare business where, you know, medical devices, plus the day-to-day stuff that you might use, like toothpaste and shampoo and some medicines and stuff like that. So, generally speaking, we reckon that on any given day, about half the world's population use or take benefit from one of our products. Okay, we're in a lot of things, we supply a lot of big companies, especially B2C companies, some of which were actually mentioned in the session just before. So we've really got this drive to try and understand how we can service those companies better. We're owned by Berkshire Hathaway as of 2011. Another quick personal story there. I was just actually after the result from BP, and it was the morning I was going to quit BP and tell them I was moving to Result. And I was on the west coast in San Diego. I got a phone call at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I just got there the night before. It was my hiring manager telling me, "Yeah, you quit yet?" I said, "No." I said, "Well, we've just been announced I'm going to be bought by Berkshire Hathaway." "Oh, right, okay. Do you want to think about it?" So I thought about it, but yeah. So, we're traditionally, like everybody, a lot of companies in here today, chemistry, technology focused, we're the ingredient supplier. So again, nobody's going to go out and buy anything from Result. seen it in the or written on it out in the marketplace, you know, so we are reading into other people's stuff. So, really, what are the drivers behind us wanting to develop this capability for the business? I'm not going to talk through every single point from the slide here, but there's probably things in here that we can all recognise, we can all understand. But fundamentally, what it means to be a supplier, a trusted partner, a trusted vendor, somebody who's got some stickability, your customers is evolving rapidly. Okay, so we've heard from many of the folks we deal with, plus what we've actually done further down the value chain, talking to people who our customers supply in a B2B sense. We've heard the same things over and over again. Yeah. If you're going to come and sell me a product, a one-off product at one time, unless that thing is really, really different, unless that thing is absolute critical component, yeah, in what we do, there's 2, 3, 4, 5 other people out there that sell the same thing. Yeah, you're going to get commoditized. Yeah, you're going to get beat down. Folks we're looking for increasingly are going to be suppliers who can be with us for the long term. And that also means understanding our business more intimately, but also working with us to help us show a path forward, a way forward. So by using our products, you can do this, it's going to deliver you that. Now you've done that, here's the next thing you can do. Here's the next thing you can do. So they're really looking for much more of a partnership, much more of that having skin in the game, much more of that coming with more of a long-term mindset. And that really, you know, is driving us to think more broadly about how we actually approach those markets and how we actually approach those customers. The key to that is actually really understanding the world that they live in. As I mentioned before, many of our customers are B2C customers. They own and operate some of the biggest brands and stuff that, you know, we all use every single day. And most of their problems and most of their opportunities are not related to how they buy raw materials or the intermediates or the chemical regulatory stuff. Okay? Most of their problems are in the broader commercialisation of what you already do. You know, so how do I take this stuff, turn it into something, put it in my brand, put it into my products, and take it to market more successfully, more efficiently, more differently? So really the big driver from ourselves in terms of developing this B2B2C insights capability is for us to get more understanding, so therefore to be able to create more and deal with those customers. The good news is that many of those sort of techniques and sort of ways of thinking are applicable to direct B2B customers as well. You know, Jenny mentioned before in the presentation that, you know, he saw those broad principles that could apply to both B2B and B2C. I definitely see the same kinds of things. So a consumer isn't necessarily somebody going to the supermarket buying a bottle of shampoo and washing their hair every day. You know, a consumer is also that guy who's got the job in the steel mill or applying grease for some kind of rollerblading. Yeah, he's still going to have a preference about how he consumes that product, about why he might choose this product or prefer that product versus the other, because it doesn't burn off as quickly, or it doesn't get exposed, it doesn't stick so much, or it doesn't quite smell as bad. Yeah, you know, so those folks are consumers too. So one of the first things to do in terms of getting this up and running is really working with you know, the leadership in the business to actually create that strategic intent. So we have a very clear mission within the business. We have a very clear vision in terms of the end game that we want to get to and what we want to be able to achieve. And just like presentations that we've all heard in these ISBN forums over the last 2 or 3 years since I've been coming to many of them, where people have been talking about how they maybe ready their business or reinvigorated a brand or found a different way to, you know, commercialise their business. The common theme is that, you know, it comes from the top. It comes from the desire to actually start doing things a bit differently, start turning those oil tankers around, start thinking and behaving differently. So we have a very clear mission and vision in terms of what we want to achieve and where we can get to. and then really strategically about how we want to then activate that through the business. Again, there's some similar things to what we just heard in the presentation this morning. We want to create that positive cultural impact. So really driving some accountability, being able to drive to results, being able to understand how we see the ROI, how we get the return on the things that we do. Want to be able to fuel innovation by bringing back into our R&D teams, our management teams, insights and ideas that we've got from looking more deeply into the marketplaces that we serve, looking more deeply into the people who are involved in distributing or using products, so we can come up with better, more rounded sort of value propositions. So that's what we wanted to do. So where were we? Because I'm sure just like everybody sat here, it's not like we weren't doing anything previously. Okay? But when you start to look at what we have, then I mentioned those three business units a moment ago. So we've got the engineering material, the life sciences, we've got the fuel part, and they were all a bit different. Yeah? Nobody really had the title of insights, but people did have the sort of title of market research. Okay, and I'll build a little later on the difference between market research and insights is, and I believe on the agenda tomorrow somebody's actually going to give a presentation on that. So Yeah, I mean, seriously, we have people, coming to us. We've got this, we've built this pretty impressive, high-powered, pretty well-recognised team of people, and folks in the business were coming to us saying, hey, can you help us convene maybe a lunch and learn of 15 people who own motorbikes so they can talk about motorcycle. Like, well, no, we're not regular consumers, we know too much. Yeah, I mean, get off that as being a good idea. We're about 18 months into this now, and I would say probably over the last 2 months, we've stopped hearing that. So the message has finally got through. The other thing is, people say, well, look, you sell to all these big brands, be they in the oil companies, or be they in the consumer goods companies, or the apparel area and stuff. Surely they know everything. I mean, what could actually we tell them, teach them? Now, I'm only going to mention one customer of ours in this whole presentation, and this is the occasion right now, because that's sort of straight to the point. Yeah, so Procter & Gamble is a customer of ours, right? Around the world, they've got about 1,000 people spending $1 billion a year on research and insights. Yeah? Now, are we going to out insight Procter & Gamble? Probably not. Yeah, but, and I can speak with personal experience again, having worked in the B2C world, in the brand world, is no matter how much money, no matter how much resource you've got, there's quite often that one project that you're not able to get to. Or there's quite often that one blind spot, that isn't in your plan to throw some light on it. So the ability to be able to work with and engage with our sales force to help drive that discovery of customers can sometimes unearth some of those opportunities where we could do work, that would be valuable. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of companies who say, yeah, go away. Yeah? But but there are opportunities when people talk about brands or doing research, there's always that one blind spot that they can't necessarily get to, and if it aligns with an opportunity for us to sell something, then that's great. And the other thing as well is there's a lot of big brands out there whose stuff you will see every single day, in the B2C world, and there are a lot of big B2C companies out there who are very good brand companies, very good manufacturing companies. Yes, but when it actually comes to some deeper understanding of the distribution channel, or when people make decisions at the point of purchase, etc., they're not always that right. So there are opportunities.
Can I ask a question up here?
Sure.
So in the same example where you guys were learning from the consumer directly, although your customer, they were also doing the research.
Mm-hmm.
So did they revalidate your findings and
sorry, just repeat that last bit again.
Did they revalidate your findings?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Good question. Sometimes that happens, right? Because the other motivation sometimes for doing these kinds of things is our customers might know all this stuff, but they're just going to tell us no. So sometimes if it's if you believe it's strategically important for you to do that, then you go out and research it yourself, and then use that as an opportunity to have a meeting and sometimes revalidate some things with people. So the other thing is, in terms of getting things off the ground and overcoming some of these early roadblocks, is preparing. Okay, and really what we developed was, this is not rocket science. Yeah, so I'm not giving away any trade secrets here. But we came up with a project brief sort of format and process where basically we sit down, we talk about things, we refine, we re-refine, we help people understand actually what really is the key question that they're trying to answer. We really do that for a couple of things, a couple of reasons. First of all, to make sure that the results are going to be actionable and they're going to be seen as being valuable and it's something they can actually do stuff with. And the second thing as well is making sure that we're not spending money on an overrun methodology. That's going to give us a bunch of superfluous information that we can't do anything with. So we go through the briefs, tied to the outcomes and the strategy of the BU. And probably the most important thing of all, on the bottom of that brief there, is an accountability statement. This was an interesting experiment, yeah, but it worked. But it made people feel uncomfortable for a while. We said, look, as the P&L owner, asking for this work, we literally want you to sign the bottom of the brief and a statement that basically says, I want this, I need this, it's going to be valuable, and I'm going to do something with it. Okay, so that's really a key thing. So as you start to get into it and doing the work, one of the things we found was you're not going to teach everybody to be a super research methodologist, and there's no need to. As I said before, I came from being into a customer insights work, and I'm still learning a lot of this stuff myself. Yeah, but you've got to take a pragmatic approach internally. So, say, using that research brief, but also explaining some of the more typical methodologies, so people at least can get a general understanding of why you're doing what you're doing and how you're doing it and how it's going to help them answer their question. And this graphic here is just one example of just a simple one pages that we did around common typical sort of research methodologies. First of all, so people wouldn't be put off or intimidated by the language as you throw it around some of this terminology. But secondly, they also a bit of an opportunity to sort of learn and assimilate. But this explaining the methodologies is something which initially can be a little bit exhausting, but it's something you've got to go through, especially when dealing with a lot of process-oriented engineering, sort of technical sort of kinds of people. Not all research methodologies are necessarily linear. Yeah, they're not always sort of 1 + 1 = 2. So the typical questions you get is, well, how do you go and find people? Earlier today you told me that getting together a bunch of our own company's people to talk about something is the worst idea in the world. So, Mr. Clever, where do you actually go and find people? How do these agencies find people to talk to? How do they screen them? How are you going to ask about the ingredients or the technologies that we're bringing into the products that we're talking about? Also, why are you asking about this, but you're not asking about that? So again, working with vendors, and we have a whole stable of vendors, so we don't do any of this work ourselves. Yeah, we have a network of vendors. I'll talk a bit about that shortly. Working with them to make sure that we're getting to the right things in a very practical and sort of pragmatic way, but we're also having some methodological rigor behind it. But also, we're not going down a methodological hill sometimes. Sometimes to get the answer that you need back to the business, to make it something that they can buy into, to make it something that is tangible to them. Sometimes it's worthwhile not going to the last degree in terms of methodology. So when it comes to qualitative work, so we started doing sort of focus group work, for example, and really working with the business to make sure that we've gone through very clear and transparent understanding about how that recruit's going to be done. So the people in the room, what questions did they answer, and how did they answer those qualified to sort of be there. Also working with the business to make sure that we're going in with some hypotheses to test. So just like the laundry example I gave just before, the R&D team had a hypothesis of this, we were able to, put that in there and then realise that it wasn't right. Also making sure that we've got relevant exercises for people as well. So, in this case, people say, look at performance denim, so you've got different stimulus material, bits and pieces of denim, and different properties and stuff in there. So again, really engaging and working with the business teams and the R&D teams to make sure that they play an active role in terms of developing these things that can be used in there, but also explaining to them why. Really helps build that understanding, helps build that trust. And also, for many of our people, the closer couples who are going to a focus group, many of our folks have never been to anything like this before. So just making sure that they're briefed in advance with a briefing pack of just the simple stuff. So don't wear any logoed attire. Yeah? When you go and sign your name in at the front desk, sign your name in as somebody in the vendor, not as Luber's done. When you sat behind the glass, keep your voice down. Yes, the people in there know you sat behind the glass, but don't worry about it. That's what the moderator's there for, to make them forget that it's there. Yes, you can ask a question and you can put a question into the room if there's something that comes comes up that you want to investigate further, but do it once or twice, don't do it every 2 minutes. Things like that. So in terms of sort of managing that backroom and setting those expectations, there's a lot of real basic blocking and tackling stuff, to do just to get people comfortable with the overall process and how we're doing things. And one of the quick story, one of the first focus group areas we did, the business unit leader was, again, funnily enough, it was mentioned in the presentation this morning, he was a Six Sigma black belt. Okay, came from operations, that was his background. Yeah, he had a real hard time trying to reconcile the repeatability of the focus group. Yeah, so and a few of us are smiling and laughing there, but for him that was a serious roadblock. It was a serious mental roadblock, and it took time and it took patience and it took perseverance, to talking through this and to explain this and why, Six Sigma level repeatability probably wasn't the best way of looking at the focus group exercise. So when it gets into quantitative work, so again, really, a lot of the lessons are the same, but it's working with the folks again to get them comfortable about the facts of the questions that you're asking and how those responses are going to be catalogued, why they are the right questions, and why a yes, no, or a 1 to 10 scale, or whatever it is the most appropriate way to capture that response to that piece of work. The other thing we've learned as well is in quantitative work, oftentimes, saying, I know there's vendors in the room here, but I'm sure they'll appreciate me saying this, is sometimes, when you look at that question guide, there's a lot of information up front, not only to screen somebody in, but to capture all the demographic information. Just to watch out is, don't have so much of that by the time you actually get to ask people the things you really, really want to ask them. They're 20 minutes in and they're fed up. Yeah, so what we've been doing over the last year or so is actually all the demographic data, etc. We're capturing that again. In fact, we're having a quick walk and really getting the questions we're going to ask, from. And again, this really helps build some understanding from the people requesting the work, the leadership, about the actionability of it, how it links to business objectives, but also how we help people understand how to interpret the data. So, as I mentioned before, you might have some qualitative data, you might have some quantitative data, you might have some secondary information. Yeah? When you're telling the story back, and you're talking about how the information is used, help people recognise and understand that in most cases, what you're going to get from this one particular quantitative survey is not going to be the only thing you're going to build into your business decisions. It's not going to be the only thing you're going to build into developing that insight. Okay, you're going to be complementing it with other information to help drive that interpretation and that story. And on that theme about the storytelling piece is, can't stress enough the amount of time and preparation you want to take in terms of actually building it back for the business. So again, when we're dealing with audiences and typically sort of technology, R&D, scientists, sort of background kind of people, you've got to spend a lot of the time really putting that story together. And it's okay to have more than one version of that presentation deck to tell that story, tailor it to the audience. You might highlight different things to different audiences. Obviously, you can't have two completely different sets of conclusions. Yeah, but take the time. So whether you're talking to whether it's the account manager, whether it's the R&D team, whether it's the product management group, there's probably different things that they're going to want to hear, different things to be emphasised. And just to give an example of how we've gone about bringing some of this stuff to life, then obviously video is always really good because you can see things, you can hear things being explained in people's own words. But take the time to go through the video and find that right section and find that soundbite. Also take the time to actually put the key thing you want somebody to take away in a text box on that particular video clip. Because again, just because you might be playing them exactly the right thing doesn't mean folks are necessarily going to interpret it and rationalise it in the right kind of way. So again, nothing wrong with getting pretty elementary in terms of telling that story. But also use analogies as well. And this was actually quite a fun one that we did for this particular project. But we actually used the analogy of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Yeah, which by the way, I learned works very well with people in Europe and people in North America. When you talk to people in Asia about Goldilocks and the Three Bears, they've got no idea what you're talking about. But you know, in this particular case, it was a nice analogy to actually tell the story, which was okay. You know, it's not about this attribute versus that attribute versus this other attribute. It's about the balance of all these attributes that are just right. Yeah, for the consumer. Now, again, a few of you might feel a bit reviled by the simplicity of that. Yeah, but I think it really helps. You know, if you're trying to tell a story, sometimes it's okay to borrow another story, one that's actually a commonly understood one amongst the audience, and use that to hang off, you know, the story you want to tell and how you want to present the insights back. But also really get to the point though, in terms of the actionability, what is this worth, how to actually go about commercializing. You know, so in this particular case, you know, we were able to do qualitative plus quantitative work as well to be able to model and understand really what the true value was going to be, the thing that we were selling and who we were targeting.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a great example of an analysis evolved into an insight here on the bottom right. That's going to really change your business if you act on it. But in the session this morning, there's a lot of discussion about the skills that a person needs and the lack of skills on critical thinking and ability to deal with ambiguity in the data. Did you guys do anything to address that, to help with those skills?
So, yeah, I didn't highlight it on one of my introductory slides, but so it's a great question. And one of the drivers for doing this was actually developing this capability within the business is part of a larger drive in terms of actually developing the commercial acumen overall of the organisation. Yeah. So the way to do this really and how we've gone about it is twofold. First of all, where we have the opportunity, we've got a seat at the table, just flat out telling the people, you know, we've done some of that synthesis for you, we've done some of that analysis for you, here's what you should do. Okay? Then the other way we've gone about it is working with the business teams to be able to highlight and showcase people who have been able to do these things successfully themselves. So again, getting to talk this morning about, you know, some like internal competition, let's say, or some sort of internal sort of showcasing of ideas and examples. So again, we're taking a very, very practical approach to be able to say, in fact, I was in a session last week just doing this thing, just doing exactly this, to say, you know, here's an example of a product manager who's able to take this, and this, you know, get through the ambiguity, get to the real insight, get to really the question that we're trying to answer, and here's how they then turn that into a successful business strategy and approach. So it's real simple stuff. I mean, one of the things, Brand, we say internally is insights is a contact sport. Yeah, you've got to bring all these different sources of information together. You've got to be able to talk to people. You've got to be able to sometimes talk to customers or talk to the value chain. You've got to kick these things around in order to get the insights. Because one of the areas where insights really actually come to life and really appear is an insight is very, very rarely anything somebody directly says or a piece of information that you can directly observe. Oftentimes through that synthesis, through that kicking it around, through that collaboration with people, you actually find that it's something that exists in the spaces of all these other data points.
So what do you do with people on your team who are examining the data and coming up with these insights to improve their critical thinking? Is it through those kick-around sessions?
It's through that, and it's through I think it came up in the last IPM meeting. We had this thing like those people who use the 70-20-10, sort of development sort of model, and we use that. We use that as well. So it's a combination of formalised training. It's a combination of on the job. It's a combination of sitting down with people who actually are experienced at doing these things. And learning from all of the above. So the other thing in terms of building that story and really getting it to resonate is the ability to connect those functional things you find in the functional attributes around the products that we develop and that we sell, but really creating that emotional connection. So I just gave you an example a moment ago of, the emotional connection was, Goldilocks and the three bears, right? Everybody gets that story, everybody understands the moral of that story, everybody understands the takeout. But it's something where we're looking at how do we take something to one of these big brand owners. The emotional connection is the brand that they have and how they're trying to position it and how they're trying to win in the marketplace with it. So when we go to our customers, we don't turn up with a 70-page technical presentation and then on page 71 say, oh, by the way, this should work in your product. Yeah? We actually go and we lead with we've got an understanding of what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to do in the marketplace, how you're trying to do it, here's how we're gonna help you get there, reinforce that brand position, win with that particular target consumer, win within that particular channel of trade, sell through and create value, or at least not get value destroyed through your channels of distribution. Okay? So to your question a moment ago around about how are we going about training and developing the people in the business, this is part of it as well, is, giving people tools, giving people ways to create that emotional connection, because it aids better storytelling, it aids more motivated, sort of propositions when you're out there talking to your customers and talking to the marketplace. Just a quick aside, when I was in the beer company, so I used to deal with all the supermarkets in the UK, so Steve will know the region of Tesco's and Asda and Safeway and all these people, and I was a sales manager. Okay, and I learned one lesson very, very quickly. When you walk into those customers, if the first things out of your mouth are not, we understand your brand, we understand your business, we understand how you're trying to drive sales or traffic through your stores. Here's how our brand and what we're going to do is to help you. Yeah, if that's not your opening gambit, that's a very, very short meeting. Yeah, if you go in there and say, hey, we're going to tell you all about our product and our brand and see the advertising we're going to do, you'll be find yourself on the other side of the door pretty quickly. So again, trying to develop that same kind of mindset, that same kind of attitude to our business. So as we got into this, I mentioned before that we do everything with vendors. Okay, so we did have at the very, very beginning of the creation of this. We had the strategic choice of, well, do we hire and own and operate our own team of ethnographers, for example, or people who can, run quantitative surveys online, etc. The answer is no. It's much more efficient, it's much more illuminating, it's much more educational to actually use a network of vendors to do that. So we had some people we knew, we had some people that some of the folks who came into the team knew from the outside, etc. So in the early days, it was sort of basic, okay, who we got who we know is good at finding, difficult to get hold of cohorts of industrial users. Who's good at doing ethnographies, who's good at, doing tax purchase and things like that. So we've got all the sort of basic areas covered, but then how do you actually go about building the stable, making sure that you've then got people who are bringing you things that are new and different, and you are also keeping abreast of the landscape of vendors out there, the landscape of techniques out there, the things that might be interesting for you. So we just did at the back end of last year our second what we call partnership summits. Okay, so if you're all anything like me, you probably get 15 emails a day saying, hey, I'm from so-and-so company, let's talk. Yeah? Or, in fact, I don't even answer my desk phone anymore, seriously. Yeah, because 9 times out of 10, it's somebody who's just got your number, who's like, give us some spoof number and comes through the switchboard. So, if everyone get hold of me, send me an email. So, so we get all these requests, so we basically now have a standard, hey, thanks, we've got all the vendors you think we need right now, but if you're interested in becoming a vendor, so the Loop Result Corporation, we'll send you an application form. We're going to have a summit in, whatever date in the future. Feel free to tell us all about yourself, what you can do, what you think is actually different from other vendors out there, and then come to Cleveland. And we'll give you 45 minutes in front of the group, and we'll do a day where we'll see 7 or 8 different people, 7 or 8 different vendors. So that helps sort the wheat from the chaff, so to speak, in terms of the people who are committed. They're going to be prepared to jump on a plane or drive into Cleveland and spend the day. And there are also people who've actually, gone through our own internal screenings. So we can say, yeah, well, these folks can do all these things, but we've got 3 vendors who can only do all that, so we're happy to see it. Okay, so that's actually been a pretty successful way of, say, building the stable out. And then the other thing on the secondary, I mentioned before that we buy a lot of secondary data and information, and guess what? Once you actually start having a centralised team looking at this, you start finding out that you find a lot of the same stuff in different locations for the same, the vastly different prices. So we've really been able to go through a pretty thorough analysis there and make sure that we are buying efficiently, buying effectively. And I'll talk in a moment about some tools we put in place to actually understand how that stuff is being used. So I mentioned before about how the Insights organisation looked initially, and well, one new a bit in now. Basically, what we have now is we're a corporate function. Okay, so I'm embedded within one of the BUs as a director. Okay, but we're a corporate function. Why are we a corporate function, especially in Berkshire Hathaway company? Berkshire Hathaway generally don't have a particularly favourable view of big corporate sort of headcounts and stuff. We're there simply because right now, in these early days in the development, if it's not a centralised function, it'll get lost and buried in the day-to-day wheel of the businesses. Okay, so will there be a time in the future when it will make sense to develop it into the businesses? Probably. But that day's not now, and frankly, it's not any time soon. So we have partners for all of us in businesses, director level, we have managers working for us, and these are actually all people who are off our high program. So the whole point is that they'll come in, do a term for 12 and 18 months, and then spin off into P&L management roles from there. And then the previous library function, and also most of the previous sort of insights or research functions that we had embedded with the businesses, we've actually now moved into this corporate central function. Okay? So we've got a very, very centralised, highly skilled, highly motivated, highly accountable team working with all the businesses. But none of us sit in the corporate wing of our offices, we all sit in the businesses. The biggest credit we got from some of the business managers is, hey, you guys don't feel like a corporate function. That's probably a low bar to get over. Yeah, but nevertheless, we've got over it. Okay, so thinking about moving forward into the future, going back to Dan's question before about how these. So we've done a lot of great stuff, but we're not affecting every single part of the business. We're a huge company, right? So how do you start to drive some of these capabilities and at least some of this thinking in the broader organisation? Where you've got these, but you still have these knowledge silos, you still have people who get consumed by listening to news as opposed to thinking about insights. News is like popcorn, it's very tasty, very filling when it's fresh, but it's pretty nasty when it's stale and old, and also you don't really learn too much. Yeah? A lot of tribal knowledge, so things in people's heads, again, like probably many of us in this B2B world, we've got a lot of people who are aging out the workforce, stuff's going out the door with them. And also, we're hands up again. You don't need to put your hands up, but I think we probably all realise that we've launched products and propositions in the past that have really been based on hypotheses and not really on anything truly sort of meaningful stuff we can understand and rationalise. So how do we start to actually overcome some of these things in the broader business? So what we're doing is, it's going to launch pretty soon, is we've developed what we're just calling an insights engine. Okay, we won't be called that when it launches. That's just the whole thing there. Okay, but basically, this is something that we've developed in conjunction with one of these software as a service companies. So basically, it's a single touch point, place where anybody in the organisation can go in, and all of our information is in there. So whether it's primary stuff we've done, synthesised stuff we've done ourselves, secondary information, etc., it's all in there. Including video, including transcripts and things like focus groups, etc. So if somebody goes in there and searches a term, it's going to come up and it's going to search all those documents, it's going to search all those video clips, it's going to search all those transcripts and serve them up in one place. So you don't need to wade through 90 minutes of video to get to the clip that you need. Yeah? You don't need to wade through a 500-page technology report to find one paragraph that you need to be able to read. Okay? So this is basically something that uses proactive AI, and I don't mean artificial intelligence. I think augmented intelligence is a better way of describing it. But over time, it will get used to your profile. In fact, you can select the kinds of things that you're interested in. Obviously, it'll also catalogue a lot of the searches that have gone on and start to figure out what people like and what they don't like and what works and what doesn't work. And the other thing it allows us to do as well is to actually capture insights from people who are leading the business. So rather than video recording people talking about their careers, talking about things that they've done, that stuff can be put in there as well. So again, when those people retire, all that knowledge doesn't leave, but all that legacy is left behind, doesn't have multiple hard drives and SharePoint sites, possibly pretty got it find it and so. Okay, so that's what we're putting in place, and that's going to launch fairly soon. And the whole purpose of that really is to put all these things at the fingertips of everybody in the organisation. Now, is everybody going to be phenomenally good at doing this straight away? No. But there is a cohort of people who are going to be able to work with this and use this and get real value from it. We've got training, going in place with it as well, and then hopefully we'll start to help people be more self-serving, take a bit of time off our team in terms of, hey, can you find me this video clip, or hey, can you find me this report, or hey, can you find me this piece of information, so people can start to get into these things more themselves. Okay? So I'm pretty excited about that. I'd love to show it if I can. So maybe some point in the future. So the final thing I just wanted to touch on was, okay, this all sounds great, what about ROI? Okay, so you read the literature, you go out there, you look around, okay, proving the ROI of insights isn't easy. And if I knew the magic answer, I'd probably be not here as an employee of Rooters. I'll be here as somebody trying to sell you something. Yeah? So we're building that out right now. The only thing I would say is, there's no real canned solutions out there. That work for our business at least. But if you go through and you Google it, if you're not familiar with it, it's Boston Consulting Group, the CEO survey from a few years ago, is as about as good a start point as you can get in terms of not only actually putting a framework in place to understand the ROI and some of the activities, but actually also the inputs as well. And the inputs piece is really key. So you can look that up for yourself and sort of read through it. But that ability to fund it correctly, that ability to drive that strategic thinking, that ability to have a seat at the table, that ability to have the right kind of people, the right kind of leadership, and the right kind of talent driving this really are key. So you're talking about the ROI of individual projects. All that's great, but recognise that there's some upfront things you've got to get right, otherwise it isn't fun. So in terms of lessons learned, I was talking to Jenny Catch just earlier on. I mean, I've been living in the States since 2003. Actually, an American citizen as of last year. So I always think that I've learned all the differences linguistically between American English and British English. And then actually a new one the other day, so sent this around my team, somebody went back and said, learned, don't say learned. Okay. It is. So, so if you're gonna do this, get out there, feed the hungry, find those quick wins, and listen to people and really help them clarify the questions that I'm answering, because invariably people actually can't articulate that quite well. Be very pragmatic in terms of the processes that you put in place. Sometimes an extra 2 or 3% of methodology, frankly, isn't worth the return if you can get what you need to get going in a practical way. It's also about B2C companies, a lot of big capable companies out there, but there's often ways of bringing things that you don't know. Take the time to build and develop those stories, and you've got to be able to measure everything in terms of input and output. Okay, so I think we're pretty much on time, but if anybody has any questions, thank you. And so I'll take any Q&A.
Can you give an example where your direct customer was really surprised that a MRudd would be jumping down the value chain to bring insights and how that impacted your biz dev?
So, good question. So,
Setup question.
Yeah. So, no, seriously, so far right now, and I came from the customer. Okay. So, I'm going to work with all the reviews on customer. If you bring in something of value and you're helping them, we've not really had any pushback right now. If we're going out there to understand, deepen into the value chain, the channels of distribution, the consumers, what goes on as they're trying to commercialize their products, so we can live a bit better in their world, then people aren't, by and large, we've not received a massive amount of pushback on that. Because, as I said in one of the initial slides, part of the driver of this is, I think, what it means to be a valued and trusted supplier is changing rapidly. And info on time and product quality and all these things, yeah, they're important, but there's other things that are becoming more important.
If you don't mind, Matt, I wanted to make a comment on the process. It might be good for everybody else to hear. I think Matt articulated well the value that, particularly the process they put their partners through to screen and create internally. We as a company went through that process with Resolve, and I can't say enough good things about the goodwill that it creates with partners. When you're given an opportunity to come in and tell your story the way that they allow us to do it in a better manner. And I would just say that Resolve gets special treatment from us solely because of the way they treated us in that partner summit. So I think it's a great best practice, and I encourage you.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back at 4:15.